Day 3? It's the third day, right? Day 3 of these ongoing protests in LA. The anti-ICE, anti-fascist protests, because again, Trump is a fascist. Shocker, I know, right? Like, whoa. Trump's a fascist. Tell me something new, streamer man. Sure. I had sex with your mom. Haha. Well, anywho, Trump decided to federalize. He federalized California's National Guard and is deploying 2,000 of them in LA to protect an ICE facility. And from what I understand, this facility has what? How many people? Like a couple hundred, a couple thousand people probably? Maybe not a couple thousand. A couple hundred people in it. It's heavily overcrowded, right? There's like you can probably attest to this, Boy Meets Mini, right? You probably know better than I do. Because there's like a bunch of footage everywhere. Yes, holding people without food and water there. Thank you, Boy Meets Mini. And it's like heavily overcrowded and everything. And again, quick reminder, like I've said before, guys, personally, and this may be very edgy and controversial. This may be a really controversial take, but maybe, just maybe, there shouldn't be a quota system for your Gestapo. It's a hot take. I know it's a hot take for a lot of you fucking dumbass Americans out there, but a quota system for your fucking fascist police force? Or yeah, I think it's accurate to say for a lot of you dumbass Americans out there, that might be a hot take. But yeah, having a quota system for ICE might be a bad thing. But what? He's federalized them?
There's outside there, and certainly no weapons that you've seen. Careful. I see them going forward. Stay safe, Kyung.
Watch out.
I'm probably talking about the reporter on the ground. You know, they're like pushing people out. We could find like a bunch of like local news footage and stuff like that. I know Hassan's on the ground there, right? He went there. Every political commentator is probably looking at this, right? Right? Pretty much. That's about it. And I think that's about it. But we got a bunch of guardsmen. 40K? What the?
Pushing everybody
We're
into
pushing
the
people.
street.
We're watching.
I don't know why.
We're watching live pictures here. This is from Los Angeles.
I don't think there's really much else going on here. We got, of course, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom, that scum. I hate him because he's Californian and he's stinky and he's bad and he didn't let the water go into LA. Even though I did that, even though I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing because I'm an idiot. But, as far as I can tell, he's been like fairly consistent, right? Pretty fucking consistent in terms of his. He's not really like sort of backing down. I mean, I think all they did was just send in a letter. I mean, like, sure, man. I'm not really expecting anything from Democrats, to be honest. But whatever. I guess it's better than fucking nothing. Federal government has taken over the California National Guard to deploy 2,000 soldiers. Not because there's a shortage of law enforcement, but because they want a spectacle. Don't give them one. Never use violence. Speak out peacefully. I don't think he's exactly wrong when he says this. I'll be honest. If you use violence, again, it would be a really, really bad idea because that would be pretense. It would be pretense for, well, you know. Yeah, it's self-defense. From a lot of the footage that I've seen, so far, like, the cops haven't gone really too crazy on the protesters. They've mostly just been doing, like, sort of standard, like, crowd control stuff. If they were in bad situations, they, like, backed up and stuff. The only two people that I think have been mostly consistent in terms of like, everything that's going on in LA is Newsom and the LAPD. Because, again, like, think of it this way. If the LAPD wanted to just randomly detain and arrest a bunch of people, it's kind of randomly, that are like Hispanic or whatever, right? That have brown skin, they could do that if they want, if they just kind of felt like it, and just hand them over to ICE. They could do that. They have not been doing that. So, critical support for the LAPD, I suppose, in this particular instance, because they have pretty much stipulated that they're not really like they don't want to work at all LAPD under the previous sheriff did that shit to an extent. The new guy's okay, at least. Well, that's good. You know, take what you can fucking get. Again, I'm not saying this is like a defense of the like, I don't really want to defend the LAPD, because technically speaking, they are technically doing their fucking job, okay? Internet debate lord over here, okay? We have to do all the hyper-technical, hyper-specific arguments here. It's very important to engage, you know, to the proper current extent of what's, like, going on. So, you know, that's cool. Fantastic. And so far, I think this man has just been tweeting through it. The California National Guard wasn't even deployed in Los Angeles yet when this rant was posted. Wait, really? What's the rant? Great job by the National Guard in Los Angeles after 2 days of violence, clashes, and unrest. When was this, right? Oh, this was on the 7th. There was, like, some footage, I think, that was posted of the National Guard in LA yesterday. Trying to help with, like, some crowd control stuff. But officially, they got to California in LA today. Like, they're officially here today, right? So I don't think it's exactly inaccurate what Gavin Newsom is saying here. We have an incompetent governor, Newsom, and mayor that doesn't have an insult for Karen Bass yet. That's not an insult. That's just her name. Who were, as usual, just look at how they handled the fires. Okay. Hey. Your fucking dumping of the water didn't help at all. Like, literally, it did nothing. What are you talking about? All the water services within California, all the fucking federal services said, like, we have the water we need. This isn't the problem. You just dumped a bunch, like, what was it, like 2 billion gallons worth into the central basins for literally nothing, which is now going to cause problems for harvesting right about now, because this is the dry season, right, Boy Meets Mini? Or at least this would be the start of the dry season, I would think, within California, correct? Is that right? And guess what? Whoa, the dumping of that water is accomplishing nothing. So Trump dumping water in LA. Like, it was just really stupid and dumb of him to do. Billions of gallons of irrigation water were wasted under Trump's orders in what now appears to be a political stunt. Under orders from Donald Trump, billions of gallons of irrigation water were laid waste in California's thirsty agricultural hub this month, a move that left water experts shocked and local officials scrambling. Literally, the officials said, don't do this, we don't need this. There is water in LA, that's not the problem. We just kind of have to let the fire burn out because we just can't control it. Because, again, at the time when the fucking LA wildfires fucking happened, it was just a complete, utter freak coincidence. It was in the wet season, right? Around January, right? When normally it's supposed to be wet. It was a freak 100-mile-an-hour wind that came out of you can help me here with the geography. It came out of a particular valley, and it just happened to be really dry and hot that day. So something caught fire, and as a result, the fire was able to spread like complete utter wildfire from there. It just went crazy. Nothing that really any of the officials or anyone could anticipate, all right? They knew that they had the water for what? The inevitable sort of wildfire season that was going to happen eventually, coming during the dry season. No one knew this was going to happen. It was just completely a freak accident. But again, Trump is an idiot and he doesn't understand that. Let's see, what do we have here? And now, now they're very slow permitting disaster. What, permitting? Federal permitting is complete? What the fuck does he mean by that? What? Very slow permitting disaster? Federal permitting is complete? What the hell does this mean? California permitting disaster? Is that what this is? Permitting reform? Too hard to build? Newsom has named cutting environmental regulations and speeding up entitlement and permitting process in the burned areas as his top priority. What is this permitting shit? What does this mean? A California legislator wants to solve the state's housing crisis, juice its economy, fight climate change, and save the Democratic Party with one excruciatingly non-sexy idea. Is this like some stupid abundance shit? Oklahoma Democratic Assembly member Buffy Wicks sees a slow, occasionally redundant, often litigious process of getting construction projects okayed by federal, state, and local governments as a chief roadblock to fixing California's most pressing problems, from housing to water to public transportation to climate change. Is this like some fucking Abunda shit? Do we have like some 3 IQ fucking abundance bullshit? Is that what this is about? Wicks helmed a select committee on permitting reform, a catch-all term for speeding up government review at all stages of a project's development, not just its literal permits. The committee went on a state-hopping fact-finding mission, taking testimony from experts, builders, and advocates on why it takes so long to build apartment buildings, wind farms, water storage, and public transit, to name a few monstrously slow and desperately needed project types. Today, Wicks released a final report based on the committee's findings. The summary per Wicks is that it's too damn hard to build anything in California. Is this some weird abundance shit? That's the vibe I'm getting here. The report stresses the need for the state to build millions of new housing units and electric vehicle chargers, thousands of miles of transit, drought, flooding, and sea level rise projects, and renewable energy projects built and interconnected at 3 times the historical rate. Through the jargon-laden technical analysis, though the jargon-laden technical analysis isn't likely to go viral, the report tees up what could be one of the biggest legislative battles of the coming year. Wicks said lawmakers in both chambers are hammering out 20 bills on permitting snags for housing construction alone. Other bills to speed approvals for transit, clean energy, and water projects are reportedly in the works too. Lawmakers regularly pass one-off bills aimed at making it easier for favored projects to get built. Nearly every legislative session for the last decade has seen at least a handful of streamlining bills for dense housing. Yeah, that's what I'm also thinking as well. This is a fucking bad zoning problem. And I'm trying to see, is this like some weird fucking abundance bullshit? Is that what's going on here? Political movement may be prime. Yes, well, it's not just zoning issues that's the problem. There is also a lot of like building code regulation in the US, which is bullshit, but also real estate and developers who very often use the capital that they have in order to, well, bribe officials. Because I'm trying to see, we have fucking this dumbass talking about now their very slow permitting disaster. Federal permitting is complete. What is this? Like, is this like just complete fucking nonsense here from Trump? Because for the most part, I'm pretty sure he's just lying, right? It's not just like permitting is the problem, okay? It's a lot more fucking complicated than that. California has earthquake codes. We need those for sure, and stronger fire codes. Makes sense, considering all the wildfires and earthquakes. You guys are on the fault line, the San Andreas fault line. Makes sense. Speaker Robert Rodriguez, a sinless Democrat, kicked off this year's legislative session by urging lawmakers to consider every bill through the lens of affordability. Governor Gavin Newsom has more recently acknowledged the inability of the state of California to get out of its own way on big important projects. He suspended certain environmental regulations for fire prevention projects last Saturday. I don't think that's the problem. The problem is with the zoning. Like, I'm assuming, like, zoning is a complete fucking nightmare. I don't think that's a very hot take. I think that's a pretty cold take, Boy Meets Mini. I do think that he probably... Listen, if he hates California so much, maybe, yeah, yoink the fucking golf courses from there. Yeah, honestly, golf courses are an abomination, and they should all be returned to nature. Okay, this is a lot more going on here. Housing bill. Right now, there are too many opportunities in the process to put a wrench in the gear. Public transportation advocate with the Natural Resources Defense Council, who testified to the select committee last year, said there ought to be a difference between the way regulators review projects that help achieve the state's housing and climate goals and those that emphatically do not. Okay, so from what I understand here, the reason why there's a lot of permitting problems within California is because, well, you know, they have a lot of regulations and codes they have to follow because of the environment that they kind of live in, right? Like fire codes and stuff like that. The biggest problem is, again, zoning. That's always been the biggest fucking issue when it comes to, well, building projects, generally speaking. But what? Unable to handle the task. Or two. What? He said two. Okay, whatever. These radical left protests by instigators and often paid troublemakers will not be tolerated. Okay. Trump, I know that you're not very intelligent, okay? I know that you're very stupid. Why are they protesting? Well, we can do this, sure. Sure. Let me help Trump out a little bit. Let's see. ICE raids in LA. Trump. I mean, this is one of the reasons why. You know, here's a reason. People might be pissed. ICE just beating up people randomly. Cool. Lovely. We can find some more. ICE has also been running over people. They raided an elementary school. You know, that's cool. Filled with a bunch of Hispanic kids. You know, they did that. Alright. ICE raid in elementary school. Sure. Why don't we look that up? And keep in mind, funniest thing about this, not even funny. This all started with a raid on some people that, whoa, crazy. We're just doing their work at a Home Depot. And that's cool. Like, it's fucking crazy, dude. Like, I wonder why people might be pissed at ICE, Trump. Can't be too ridiculous. Also, from now on, masks will not be allowed to be worn at protests. Okay. You can't do that. You can't just unilaterally just say that, right? First Amendment and all that. There's protections for that. People are allowed to have privacy. I thought conservatives cared about privacy. Like, what's going on here? Okay, how about this? A trade offer. The masks are allowed for protesters, but for your fascist little fucking piggy Gestapo, they're not allowed to wear masks because they're law enforcement officers and have to be identifiable. You know, pretty simple. What do these people have to hide and why? Okay. Trump, you have a very animated sort of coalition of schizophrenics and morons who are willing to do violence at the drop of a pin, okay? They are wholeheartedly and completely willing to just go out there, find these people, and probably beat them with sticks. So maybe that's why a bunch of people are wearing face coverings and masks, so they're not easily identifiable. Nah. Could be what I could be saying here is radical and ridiculous, but maybe that's why people may be wearing face coverings. You know. I'm just being silly. I'm just doing a little trolling. Again, thank you to the National Guard for a job well done. Well, from what I understand, they weren't even deployed at this point, so that's cool. Very cool. Trump is sending 2,000 National Guard troops in LA County, not to meet an unmet need, but to manufacture a crisis. So what Gavin Newsom is saying is 1000% accurate here. He is correct. The only reason why Trump is sending guardsmen in order to occupy Los Angeles is so he has an excuse to use the Insurrection Act and then crack down on a bunch of other people. That's it. Yeah, he's just correct here. He's consistent with this. He's hoping for chaos so he can justify more crackdowns, more fear, more control. Stay calm, never use violence, stay peaceful. So here's the thing. Even with that alone, he's not wrong. The best thing for the crowd to do, for the protesters to do, is to just march and be really fucking annoying. March and be annoying. Because if they try to go after anyone at ICE or anyone, well, they can go after the people at ICE. Who gives a fuck about ICE? Fuck them. If they try to antagonize the police or try to antagonize the guardsmen, and it's much worse if they try to do it with the guardsmen, what's going to happen? Trump is going to use that as an excuse in order to send in, well, like shit like the fucking military. We already see like the shit that Pete Hegseth is saying. Like, Pete Hegseth is saying that he wants to fucking mobilize the Marines, for fuck's sake. Right? Violent mob assaults on ICE and federal law enforcement are designed to prevent the removal of criminal and illegal aliens from our soil. So, here's the problem. Most of the time, they're not criminals or illegal aliens, the people that they're going after. They've been going after just random people all willy-nilly. So, that's cool. And also, even if you do go after them and detain them, you're not willing to give them any rights or due process. So, that's cool. A dangerous invasion facilitated by criminal cartels, aka foreign terrorist organizations. Okay. Are they Listen, do we need to do... we'll do the fucking meme, okay? Fuck it. This is like the 17th fucking time that I've done the fucking meme. Hey, whoa, crazy. We're doing the meme again. We're fucking pulling up the Pew Research TPS fucking graph and statistics. Hey, Trump, I have a question for you. Why was there a lot of Venezuelan migrants that came in here? Oh, this is why. It's this? Oh, it's this. Oh, this is why. Oh, whoops. Yeah, your stupid fucking coup attempt on Venezuela with Juan Guaido and 3 other dudes in a fucking trench coat getting spotted out by some fucking Venezuelan fishermen. And then you got mad about it, you got real salty about it, and decided to slap a bunch of sanctions on Venezuela, thus causing hyperinflation and the economy of Venezuela to collapse and to crash and go into hyperinflation. Which, now, and I understand that this logic is very difficult for conservatives to grasp. Because of how shit the economy was, because of the sanctions that you put on there, a bunch of people decided to leave the country. Now I understand that conservatives, I know that you're having some hard time going along with what I'm saying here, okay? So all those people left, went up through parts of probably like Colombia and other shit like that, you know, up through Central America to arrive at the U.S. to claim asylum because of the fucking stupid shit that you did, Trump. You are the reason why there was this fucking migration wave of Venezuelans to the United States. You did that. You did that with your really stupid, idiotic dog shit policies. So, you know, that's cool. That's great. Fantastic. Excellent. I can even explain all the other ones. Hey, why are there a bunch of people from Haiti coming here? All the gangs that were fucking taking over the country because the country's political system and economy was under collapse. So, you know, there's that. El Salvador. Wasn't there a coup attempt not that long ago? The country was highly fucking unstable. You know, whatever. And a bunch of other people had to leave because of Nayib Bukele's fucking crackdown in the country. You know, that's cool. I don't think it really gets any more complicated than that, does it? I wonder why all these things are happening. So you're telling me that if we make other places bad to live in, people will leave those places? Hey, conservatives, you could learn something here from Violet Tiger. If it was that easy to grasp, you know, surely you can do that as well. I'm saying this purely rhetorically. They're never going to get it. ever. So what else we got here? And a huge national security risk. Yeah, that your president caused. So, nah. Under President Trump, violence and destruction against federal agents and federal facilities will not be tolerated. It's common sense. The Department of Defense is mobilizing the National Guard immediately to support federal law enforcement in Los Angeles. Why? Because just... And if violence continues, active duty Marines at Camp Pendleton will also be mobilized. They're on high alert. Do you really need a fucking regiment of fucking Marines to go in to just, I don't know, sit around there with their fucking dick and balls in their hands saying like, well, I guess we're here, guys. And also, here's another thing. Why not the military? Why not the army? Why specifically the Marines? Think about this. Okay, this is an angle that probably people aren't really thinking about. Why is Pete Hegseth specifically choosing the Marines here? Because he could send anyone else in, right? He could send in the army. He could do that. I guess the National Guard are technically a part of the army. Technically speaking, sort of. Why specifically the Marines? Because the Marines tend to be, more conservative. And are more likely to go along and just like probably bash some fucking skulls in. Because again, they're smooth-brained fucking conservatives. Statistically speaking. And I don't think like people in the army are going to be like who tend to be more mixed races and stuff like that. U.S. Marines, a lot of them tend to be white. And conservative are more likely to go along willingly with all this fucking bullshit. So that's pretty cool. Lovely. Active duty Marines can be deployed on U.S. soil to address civil unrest in California under the Insurrection Act of 1807. Oh. And if violence continues, an active duty Marines at Camp Pendleton will also be mobilized. Oh. Nice. That's really fucking funny, dude. So Pete Hegseth thinks he can just, like, mobilize the Marines whenever he wants if the violence in California or in LA gets worse, quote unquote. But he would have to do that through the Insurrection Act, which only the president can call for. He can't call for that. That's very funny. So if he were to deploy a fucking regiment of Marines, it would be illegal. That's funny. Hilarious. So we more or less, we know what's going on here. What the purpose of all this stuff. It's you know, Trump is just looking to make a show of force to put people in fear in order to consolidate control. That's the whole point of all this, right? Hoping for chaos, stay calm, never use violence, stay peaceful. What else is he even saying? Deploying troops not for order, but for chaos. Don't take the bait. Never use violence or harm law enforcement. Don't give Trump what he wants. Stay calm, stay peaceful. What? Thank you, Gavin Newsom, for saying something again. LAPD. What's the LASD? Oh, it's the sheriffs in LA County. Oh, okay. And state emergency officials in LA as a response to protests provoked by chaos from Washington. We're here to keep the peace, not playing to Trump's political games. You know, that's that's the thing. The sheriffs, the police, and Gavin Newsom have all been fucking consistent with this. All they are basically doing is just crowd control. Like, that's it. And if they get, like, a little fucking rowdy. Like, because, like, one or two people are probably going to get, like, arrested or something. More than likely. It's kind of inevitable. It just depends, right? The thing is in a situation like this, because I know that some lefties are going to say, like, yeah, actually, personally, you should probably, like, throw Molotov cocktails or, like, makeshift pipe bombs and attack the police. That's, like, the worst thing you could fucking do. I'll be honest. That is quite literally the thing that you should not be doing in this particular instance. Like, you really should not do that. That is going to be, well, you essentially giving them carte blanche to send in the fucking Marines. Because I guarantee you, that's exactly the thing the Trump administration is going to want. That's exactly and the conservatives are going to fucking run to the high winds, all right? They'll talk about that for ages. Like I said before, I think the best thing you can do is just to, like, sit around, be kind of annoying, and just march. March, be loud, be annoying, have a party. Fuck it. Just have a black party. Or a block party. Fuck it. Have fun with it. YOLO swag. Fuck it. Who cares? You know. It's not like what Trump is doing here is illegal, because this makes Trump look really bad. So what? What's the letter? I have formally requested the Trump administration rescind their unlawful deployment of troops in Los Angeles County and return them to my command. Well, again, he's not wrong here. So, we didn't have a problem until Trump got involved. This is a serious breach of state sovereignty, inflaming tensions while pulling resources from where they're actually needed. The funniest thing about this is that if Trump was actually intelligent and he wanted to make Gavin Newsom look bad, he would have not taken over the fucking he would have not taken over the National Guardsmen and deployed them in Los Angeles County to essentially do crackdown on protesters. That's the fucking funniest thing about this. If he wanted to make Newsom look bad, he did the worst thing possible by actually trying to show initiative, right? Because let's say hypothetically speaking, right? Because Gavin Newsom would argue, and I think that he's correct when he would say this, that the deployment of the National Guard, the fucking National Guard being taken over by the president and deployed into LA is going to, essentially embolden, raise tensions, and it's not going to really fix anything. He's correct when he says that. He's absolutely right, okay? Because it's not going to help the situation whatsoever. He's basically, if he wanted to make Gavin Newsom look as bad as possible, because he hates Gavin Newsom, because again, it's Trump. He has personal vendettas against basically everyone that's not a Republican, or that's not sycophantic to him, to be honest. If he wanted to make him look as bad as possible, he would just let LAPD bash in the skulls of a bunch of protesters. And Gavin Newsom probably would have been like, thank you to our great law enforcement for helping ensure the order within whatever the fuck. If he wanted to make him look as bad as possible, he would have just pulled ICE away, secretly pulled ICE away, in such a way that no one would know that ICE just left, and the protests would have continued. And crazy, the LAPD just bash a bunch of people in or something, and that would make Gavin Newsom look really, really bad. But he didn't. He didn't do that. He decided to take over the National Guard. He did the worst thing possible. That's hilarious. And here's another thing, okay? Another thing with this. Trump, and this is an overall sort of point, Trump knows that he only has, at this point, about a year and a half left to just do whatever the fuck he wants, okay? Because I guarantee you, when those fucking midterms happen, the Republicans are going to suffer. 1,000 fucking percent. Off-year fucking elections have been, generally speaking, very good in terms of results for the Democrats. The midterms have always produced good results, at least recently for the Democrats. And also, given the fact at how much wildly unpopular shit between Elon, Doge, the One Big Beautiful Bill, and all the deportations with ICE, all of this different stuff, and Trump's approval rating also being pretty fucking low, this is, broadly speaking, the makings of a potential political disaster for the Republicans. Quite literally. What's in this fucking letter? Federalization of the California National Guard via email only. June 7th, 2025, Trump issued a memorandum to your office entitled Department of Defense Security for the Protection of Department of Homeland Security Functions. Memorandum reports invoke some statute to call federal service members and units of the National Guard to temporarily protect ICE and other United States government personnel who are performing federal functions, including the enforcement of federal law, and to protect federal property. Yeah, dude. Because you're totally protecting federal fucking property when you send in your fucking Gestapo goons in order to randomly black bag and apprehend people who have probably done nothing wrong. Great. Fantastic. The memorandum further directs actions as necessary for the Secretary of Defense to coordinate with the governors of the states and the National Guard Bureau in identifying and ordering into federal service the appropriate members and units of the National Guard under this authority. What's the likelihood that this eventually, because if this keeps going, what do you think is the likelihood that this kind of spirals into another BLM situation where everyone's going to go out in the streets? I know there's already protests in Chicago and New York. in solidarity with the LA ones, right? Against ICE, if I recall correctly. What's the likelihood that it's just going to start popping up literally everywhere across the United States? Because let's be honest here, the footage that everyone's going to be taking. Oh, and in the Bay Area. So what? New York, Chicago, San Francisco. These are some of the biggest American cities in America. These are some of the biggest cities on the planet. And it's not looking good. This could very much so just completely spiral out of control for the Trump administration and Donald Trump in general. And what? The BLM protests, that happened under Trump. And everyone's been filming everything. Everyone's filming stuff and showing like what ICE is doing. People obviously do not like ICE. As you should. ICE are a bunch of Gestapo goons. Shouldn't be really liked. Should be probably hated, broadly speaking. So, this could potentially just completely spiral out of control for the Trump administration. Section 1246 states that the president may call into federal service members and units of the National Guard of any state in such numbers as he considers necessary to 1. Repel an invasion of the United States by a foreign nation, which is not happening. 2. Suppress a rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States, which is also not happening. Or 3. Execute the laws of the United States when the president is unable to do so with regular forces, which is also not happening. Although, honestly, this is the one that the conservatives are probably going to argue the most about. Suppress a rebellion against the authority of the government. I know that fucking Stephen Miller, the Nazi fascist egg, who is about to lose his wife to Elon, his non-white wife. Let's not forget. Hey, Stephen Miller, I thought like white genocide was like a big problem for you. Why do you have a non-white wife? That makes you think, doesn't it? Anywho, Section 1246 further states that orders for these purposes shall be issued through the governors of the states, which Trump did not do. So he's in violation of that. Last night, the Adjutant General of California received a memorandum from your office with the subject line, calling members of the California National Guard into federal service, which states that 2,000 members of the California National Guard will be called into federal service effective immediately for a period of 60 days. Notably, this directive did not issue through the governor of the state as required by Section 1246. The Department of Defense did not transmit this directive to the office of the governor. Stinky! Because he doesn't want to deal with I don't want to deal with Gavin Newsom, and I don't care about the law. These are my troops. I can do whatever the fuck I want with them, but you can't. So that's cool. Nor was it approved or ordered by the governor of California. This directive is also inconsistent with the president's memorandum, which anticipates coordination with the governors of the states, which he did not do. Because again, you want to know, like, perfect example, Freedom Convoy in Canada. You want to know what the fuck, like, because initially, Justin Trudeau wanted to deploy troops on the fucking Freedom Convoy. He wanted to do that as the first thing. You want to know what happened? He talked with the Premier of Ontario, that fucking dumbass Doug Ford, who was obviously sympathetic to the Freedom Convoy, wanted to use that as a political cudgel to make the Liberals look bad. Well, honestly, it would have made the Liberals look worse if he just let them deploy the troops anyways. He explicitly did not allow Trudeau, because again, we can do the same thing. It's similar. He did not let Trudeau deploy Canadian troops to, take care of the Freedom Convoy, even though everyone in the city wanted them out, wanted to get rid of them, quite literally. There was like a huge counter-protest that happened in, was it the January? I think it was in January. I think it was in January of 2020, or like 2020, 2021. Huge counter-protest happened against the Freedom Convoy because nobody fucking wanted them there, and no one liked them. They were loud, annoying, and stupid. And if you recall correctly, what did they basically want to do, the Freedom Convoy in Canada? Basically just say, Justin Trudeau, leave so then we can put in our fucking schizophrenic dude in power. Quite literally. It was like it was probably like the most boring, like stupidest fucking attempt at a coup d'etat I have ever seen in my fucking life. It was really fucking dumb. So, yeah, what was I saying? Deployment of troops. So Trudeau talked with the premier. That's our governors, with the premier of Ontario, who's Doug Ford at the time. He's like, "Hey, can we deploy troops to take care of this shit?" And he said no, because he wanted to just, you know. I want to say this secretly. Let's be honest here. Doug Ford wanted them to fucking get rid of Justin Trudeau. Let's be honest here. I'm keeping it $1.50. Okay, complete conspiracy theory that I'm saying here. I bet he wanted the Freedom Convoy to fucking basically get rid of Trudeau. Let's be honest here. In identifying and ordering units of the National Guard into federal service. At present, law enforcement authorities from the city and county of Los Angeles are safeguarding public safety. And as demonstrated by the robust law enforcement response yesterday evening to protect federal facilities, local law enforcement resources are sufficient to maintain order. I mean, he said, yeah, like, they haven't really done anything as far as I can tell, LAPD, besides just crowd control. Because if you take a look at the footage of the fucking protests, there's like people holding signs and flags, and it was like a couple hundred people. At now, because of the deployment of the National Guard, you know what it's done? It's been a compounding effect. It's actually made the situation worse. Gavin Newsom was correct. Instead of a couple hundred people just kind of like sitting around and mostly just having a block party, now there's thousands of people out there that are saying like, hey, fuck you, Trump, for deploying the National Guard to help ICE do their bullshit. Fuck you. He's made, like, as Gavin Newsom said, and, whoa, made the easiest, most accurate prediction of life, the situation got worse. I know that's maybe a shocker to, like, Trump supporters and conservatives in general, because they're not very bright. They're very stupid people. But it's almost as if they wanted to do this on purpose because they wanted to crack a bunch of people's skulls. And let's be honest here. They wanted to crack a bunch of people's skulls in. That's why they did this. Stupid nonsense as always. In dynamic and fluid situations such as one in Los Angeles, state and local authorities are the most appropriate ones to evaluate the need for resources to safeguard life and property. Oh boy, property. Indeed, the decision to deploy the National Guard without appropriate training or orders risks seriously escalating the situation, which is exactly what has happened. Gavin Newsom is correct here. There is currently no need for the National Guard to be deployed in Los Angeles, and to do so in this unlawful manner and for such a lengthy period is a serious breach of state sovereignty, and that seems intentionally designed to inflame the situation. Yeah, this is also a pretty good point. Hey, listen, conservatives, everyone get your fucking keys out. Get your keys out. Hey, conservatives, what happened to states' rights? I thought we cared about states' rights and state sovereignty. What happened? Oh, it's almost as if all this shit can just go out of the window because none of these people have any principles or standards. Crazy. Who would have thought? While simultaneously depriving the state from deploying these personnel and resources where they are truly required. Accordingly, we ask that you immediately rescind your order and return the National Guard to its rightful control by the state of California to be deployed as appropriate when necessary. So, if I recall correctly, the National Guard, they are federal assets, right? Because they're technically a part of the Army. Am I correct when I say that, Boy Meets Minnie? In terms of the structure of the National Guard? Which is, that's similar to how it works in Canada as well. Our National Guard is also a part of the Army. So they're federal assets, technically speaking, you know? So the governors and the premiers, they have like some amount of control, but not really. If they don't want those troops to be deployed, that has to be like respected overall in terms of like sort of provincial or state sovereignty. Let me also check that as well. I'm curious. Is the U.S. National Guard under the U.S. Army? Is that like the part of the branch? The National Guard is part of the U.S. Armed Services Armed Forces Reserve. It consists of two branches, the Army National Guard and the Air National Guard. It was formed in 1903 by the Militia Act. U.S. Federal law determines the current structure of the National Guard. So it's not a branch, but a reserve. So, yeah, because what I'm mostly asking here is if it's a part of the U.S. Army, which technically means that, yeah, the commander-in-chief has ultimate control of them. However, each, like, sort of, like, National Guard has, each state in every sort of, like, the United States has a reserve of National Guardsmen. And the reason for that is, you know, hypothetically speaking, let's say the country gets invaded by China or some shit. The National Guard are going to be the first ones who will see combat, more than likely, to give time for the military to be able to mobilize and deploy, right? At least that's how I think the idea works. With the National Guard being a part, like, basically, like, not a deterrent, but, like, to help buy time, basically. Cool. So, from what I understand here, yes, they are a part of the fucking army. So ultimately, yes, what the president here is doing, he is not technically wrong. You know, the commander-in-chief can deploy the National Guard. However, in the way that he's deploying it, where he's supposed to tell the governor, like, okay, I'm going to deploy the National Guard, and well, if the governor agrees with that or not, because this is how it works in Canada with the premiers instead of governors, we have premiers. If the commander-in-chief, in this case, like, you know, the prime minister or the president, wants to deploy the National Guard or the military in order to help quell some form of, like, insurrection attempt or something, and the governor or the premier disagrees, saying, like, no, you don't need to do that, it's fine, then he has to comply with that. But Trump's not doing that because he doesn't care about the rule of law. So that's, like, the letter. I don't think they're going to care about the letter. I'm just going to say that. I don't think they're going to give a shit about this. But, you know, there's been a bunch of stupid bullshit that the conservatives have been saying. So, President Trump says masks will no longer be allowed at protests. Of course, seen this already. Stupid. It's really funny how they are saying that this is an insurrection when January 6th was also an insurrection, and, like, a bunch of Jan 6ers also wore face coverings and masks. But they say that's, like, totally above board and fine. But, whoa, who would have thought that no standards from conservatives? So this, we've already seen this stuff where he's talking about, you know, he can't ban the wearing of masks by decree. He can't do that. But there's a bunch of, we got a bunch of shit. Got a bunch of shit here. Are people complaining about cars? Yeah, this is a video that's going around as well. This is from the George Floyd protests in 2020. So it's not from this year. So, you know, lying. Oh, the car that was set on fire was a fucking Waymo? Okay, actually, that's based. Based. And I bet all the conservatives are gonna fucking complain about that. Nah, this is based. Fuck these stupid, like, self-driving, dumbass cuckold cars that keep going through LA for no fucking reason. Nah, this is based. Based. I agree with this. I agree with them burning the cars. They are being very, very whiny, because they're just wrong, right? A bunch of people, tear gassing and stuff. What do we have here? Representative Gomez. LA County alone is 34% foreign-born. 34%. So when he says they're going to liberate us, who is he going to liberate us from? Ourselves? Wait, yeah, what does he mean by fucking liberate? What?
Or even about an hour ago, he said that we have been invaded by criminals and aliens, and that he wants to liberate the city of Los Angeles. That.
What do you mean by that? Wait, what do you mean by that? Want to liberate the city from 34% of the county? A lot of people that live in LA County, right? How many people live in LA County? 10 million? Let's go with 10 million. It's an easy number to work with. 10 million people live in LA County. 34% of that? It's like 3.4 million people. It's a lot of people. Yep, biggest county by population. Very cool.
Kind of language inflames tensions.
If I recall, this was where Hassan was streaming. Okay, is it like really bad for me to say that I recognize where this is because of GTA 5? Is that a bad thing for me to say? Because I recognize where this is because of GTA 5.
Makes things worse when he has people that show up not in normal ICE uniforms that they used to wear to
yeah, he was here before, and like a lot of cops. I think this is like the 101 highway, I think, because that's what the Horseman said while covering this, because I was watching his coverage of the, you know, live footage and stuff like that. It was this is the 101, and like a bunch of cops were like right there, and like a bunch of people were like chilling on the fucking highway basically,
you know, do a raid or do different things, but in kind of militarized uniforms, then that's what kind of sparks the increased tension. So we know that he's been planning on this for a while. They want this showdown between us, California, because they don't like what we represent. You know, LA County alone is 34% foreign born, 34%. So when he says they're going to liberate us, who is he going to liberate us from? Ourselves? So
so that's a pretty good point from this Democratic representative. It's like, yeah, man, I don't know, like that's about 3.4 million illegals, right? For the Gestapo quotas or some shit. That's a lot of people for the quotas. Am I right, fellas? You know?
So one of the things we want to do is to make sure that people know that it's Donald Trump who's actually making the situation worse.
And that is true. It is Trump that's making the situation worse. Oh, here's the main thing that the fucking dumbass liberals are going to glean from this. This is going to be Donald Trump falling off of stairs. You're never going to... Listen, okay. Do I want to be... I'm going to go with the petty take here. I think every liberal outlet should just run with this to the fucking nines. Be like, haha, look at the old man. Biden moment. And just make him like really, really mad. And they're like, no, I didn't have a Biden moment. I caught myself. Biden fell. It's like, yeah, well, if you were going to fall, Biden also caught himself. What do you mean? Biden moment, old man. Everyone point and laugh at the old man. Haha. Point and laugh at the old man. Point and laugh. Haha. Fuck you, you old orange fuck. Haha. Fucking loser. All right, petty moment is done. We want to get to the interview bits. Foreign visitors at Camp David. Stumbles on the whatever the fuck. God, it's all the fucking liberals are going to be obsessed with this. So what do we have here? Trump on California officials. If they stand in the way of law and order, they will face charges. What you're doing is illegal. So, no? I don't think that's how that works, Trump.
Very much. You have a question for Marco?
Little Marco.
Question for Marco?
California officials could face federal charges if they stand in the way of the deportation. Something that Homan may have suggested.
If people stand in the way of law and order, yeah, they will face charges. Thank you.
Very funny how these motherfuckers always talk about how they're bringing in law and order, but Trump quite literally didn't go to Gavin Newsom to say, like, we're going to deploy the National Guard. It's like, well, you're not supposed to do... You're supposed to let us know, let the office know that you're going to do that. And, you know, we're supposed to say, like, no, you don't need to do that. Or, yeah, you probably should do that. And you just kind of, like, ignored us and said, like, we're going to just do it anyways. So what you're doing is illegal. So that's cool. What else do we have here? This is, like, the initial fucking Truth Social. You have an incompetent governor. Just take a look at the train station he's building. Okay, isn't this fucking stupid ass, like, rail line system that's fucking having problems, Boy Meets Mini? Isn't that shit having so many problems because of, again, some of the stuff that we read? Zoning law issues, and also because of fucking Elon Musk's dumbass promise to do the Hyperloop stuff just as a way to stop from high-speed rail going up in California. I called him the other night and said you gotta take this, otherwise I'm sending in the troops. Gavin Newsom said that you never called him. So just a lie? I'm just gonna say it's a lie.
Could have gotten much worse. And you have an incompetent governor. Just take a look at the train stations that he's building. Like 20 times over budget. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Isn't it over budget because of, again, like zoning law problems? Also the fact that, you know, there have been how many sort of like attempts to stop this from going up due to probably God knows how many like bullshit propositions that fucking corporations are putting in. So it becomes, because this is the exact same thing, for example, that's happening in Toronto. There's a train line that they've been building for like the past, I don't know, like decade at this point. Everyone's just like, it's never going to get finished. It's a complete meme. And the problem has been like the stuff I've mentioned before. People no, this is just in Toronto itself. It's a tram line. It's a street tram line. This one line has been being built in Toronto for like the past 10 years, and it's had budgeting problems. It's had like legislative problems. Conservatives have been constantly like obstructing it as well. It's been a complete fucking shit show for the past 10 years. It's funny because no one complains about the current operating Las Vegas, LA Las Vegas line, and that took a long time to build. Really? That's crazy. Who would have thought?
So I did call him the other night. I said, look, you got to take care of this, otherwise I'm sending in the troops.
Well, that's a lie. Gavin Newsom never got a call, never got a letter or anything, or an email, nothing. No contact whatsoever, and you just decided to deploy the troops anyways. So, lie? Just a lie? I'm just going to go with just a lie.
That's what we did. Thank you very much. You have a question for Marco?
Little Marco.
Question for Marco?
Please ask Marco something. I don't want to answer this. I don't want to go into this any further because I'll make myself look worse, folks. Let me tell you.
Some shit at Camp David. I don't care about that. Do you have a response to Dana Bash suggesting that this wasn't a real riot? Oh, he's talking about the protests? No, yeah, this isn't a fucking riot. It's just a bunch of people who decided to throw some rocks at unmarked fucking ICE vehicles and get in the way of, like, ICE vehicles to try to stop them from randomly blackbagging people, which, again, is illegal. It's illegal. Because, again, for most of the people that the Trump administration is blackbagging, there's no warrants or really much of anything for their arrest. And she just randomly also just grabs, like, whoever the fuck looks brown enough in order to satisfy his fucking quota system. So, this isn't a riot. This is a protest to go against the actions of ICE. These are anti-ICE protests, not a riot.
CNN's Dana Bash suggesting that this wasn't a real riot in Los Angeles.
Is that what she said? Oh, I think it was a riot. I think it was very bad. It was covered really as a riot.
Again, like, we can go over, like, some of the footage. For the most part, it was just, like, people sitting around waving some fucking flags and holding signs. Some riot. Like, generally speaking, when riots happen, there's way more fucking violence in comparison. No, that Trump, I understand this is very difficult for you to understand, but this is what we call a protest. Something that he doesn't really like all that much. Oh boy, a Breitbart news question. Again, like I said before, there was like a really good, I think it was a John Oliver segment. You know, the ones that we get like 2 weeks later because, you know, Canada. You know, so we get that shit later. Shit's not available up here. Until he decides to finally put that shit on fucking YouTube. Bastard. 2 years later. Bastard. But whatever. We love, I don't know, like, regional bullshit when it comes to that. Trump loves to surround himself with sycophants, again. And in order to do that, he very often will threaten funding for certain outlets who threaten him. Or, like, who would want to question him politically and just, like, sort of fuck with a lot of, like, mergers. This happened exactly with, like, ABC News, right? Between the merger between, I think, Skydance and Paramount. I think it's Skydance and Paramount. The owners of ABC, they want to do, like, a merger there, and the FCC is being used to potentially get in the way with that, which is why they capitulated in that fucking lawsuit. And not to mention, like, all the, like, local news stations and other stuff, who the Trump administration, the DOJ, went after for just having the most neutral coverage, just saying what the news is as possible coverage, right? I think the example that, and I think you might know this radio station. You might know this story, Boy Meets Mini, because I think it was a San Francisco or San Diego station. I think it was WCBS, or it was like WCBSW or something. It was like, it's like, I think it's like a San Diego fucking news station that had the most basic, flattest, KCBS. Thank you, Boy Meets Mini. Yes. Yeah. KCBS. Thank you, Boy Meets Mini. So it was KCBS news station who basically said, like, what the news was in the most, like, neutral tone, like, nonpartisan, like, framing as possible. And the Trump administration used the FCC with, like, the current FCC head being the most partisan fucking guy on the planet, saying, like, yeah, I want to suck Donald Trump's balls, basically. And even the people within the administration, within the institute of the FCC saying, like, yeah, this guy is, like, easily the most partisan fucking dude we've ever had at the head, going after that particular radio station for just reporting the news, just saying basically a fucking headline. That was it. Because again, gotta have those fucking sick of it. We all know, like, all the dumbass dipshits in, like, the White House press corps. Like, Tim Pool was there. You want to know who else was there, Boy Meets Mini? Fucking Dom Lucre. That fucking, that weirdo, like, black libertarian dumbass who, like, put unironic fucking child porn, who got banned and then unbanned by fucking Elon Musk, who put, like, CP on the fucking timeline. No cap, nothing. Like, he just put it on there and said, like, some stupid irrelevant point, gets banned for it for, like, a day and then reinstituted by Musk. It's fucking crazy. That guy was a part of the White House press corps, so, you know, that's cool. Well, what do you got here?
Do you think if Democrats continue to side with illegal aliens over law enforcement, that they'll ever be able to win a national election again?
Yeah, man, totally, because that's exactly what the Democrats are doing, siding with the illegal aliens and not just talking about what ICE is doing is just simply put wrong. And, whoa, it's like some... If you listen to the voice of this fucking kid, this dude's like a stupid fucking, like, Discord groiper kitten, okay? This guy probably, like, schizo posts constantly on fucking Twitter about, like, white birth rates or some shit. Stupid.
I love this guy. I think that is the great... Who are you with? Breitbart News. Great. It's a great group.
Oh boy, Breitbart. But Breitbart. Great.
Breitbart. Great group. I think that you're going to see some very strong law and order.
That's, like, literal the most softball of softball questions, and he just has, like, a stupid, dumb fucking answer. He doesn't even answer the question.
I think you're gonna see some very strong law and order.
He asked if this is a yes or no question. Like, literally, dude. Do you think if Democrats continue to side with the legal aliens that they'll be able to win an election? A national election? That was the question.
You're gonna see strong law and order.
Stupid. But his brain is cooked. It's okay. Are you prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Depends on whether or not there's an insurrection.
Do you think there is?
No.
So I guess we haven't gone to the point of the Insurrection Act. So, hey, Pete Hegseth, you can't deploy the Marines yet. Whoops.
Are you prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Depends on whether or not there's an insurrection.
And again, this is really surprising because, again, the only reason why Trump is trying to do this is because he wants to invoke the Insurrection Act to be able to further crack down on people, to further go after people's civil liberties. Now, I guess depending on how quote-unquote violent Trump thinks it'll get, then maybe he'll invoke the Insurrection Act after or something. Maybe? I don't know. Like, if it'll fucking happen. Who the fuck knows what goes on in the inner machinations of the mind of the Mad King?
No, but you have violent people, and we're not going to let them get away with it.
Yeah, dude, because like people throwing like rocks at like unmarked ICE vehicles is truly the end of the world. Totally. What are the rules for engagement?
If we think there's a serious insurrection or less than that, we're going to have law and order.
How would you define an insurrection? How would he define it?
So do you foresee those protests spreading to other cities, Chicago, New York, for example, in the next few days?
Yes, we're going to be watching it very closely. And when they spit at people, you know, they spit.
Oh, he's been having a very fucking like autistic fixation about like people spitting on like officers. Yeah, I wonder why. Again, why might people be really upset with what ICE is doing? You know, them randomly beating on a fucking the SEIU California's president, or ICE going after elementary school kids and their parents, you know, doing family separation. Hey, Republicans, what happened to being the party of family values? Well, what's going on here? What happened? What happened? Stupid. It's nonsense.
That's their new thing. They spit and worse. You know what they throw at them, right? And when that happens, I have.
Yeah, they throw some rocks. I think like some dude threw a chair once. Fucking anti-fascist protesters coming in with the steel chair. You know.
A little statement. They say they spit, we hit. And I told them nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military, which they do is a common thing. They get up to them this far away and then they start spitting in their face. That happens, they get hit very hard.
I wonder why, again, like I said, why are they spitting on the law enforcement and all the military assets that may be fucking going at, you know, even if what he's saying here is true, the only people that people are fucking probably spitting on are probably LAPD, even though they already have like probably protocols if people fucking do that already. Unless they fucking instigate and keep agitating for so long, then they're just gonna like try to arrest the particular person that's going on, that's pretty normal, right? That's like what the police are supposed to do. But again, stupid troglodyte idiot over here. Do you think he fucking understands or knows any of that? No, he doesn't know any of that because he's just a stupid fucking moron, as always. And what else? The ICE officers who are just illegally coming in and just trying to black bag and deport a bunch of people, you know, illegally, without giving any of these people their right to due process or habeas corpus rights at all. Oh, okay, whatever. But you know what? You know, it's way worse that people are fucking spitting on these fucking invaders, these charlatans. So that's cool.
What are the rules of engagement for federal troops? We'll see what happens. If we think there's a serious insurrection or less than that, we're gonna have law and order. Very important.
So again, yeah, I don't think he doesn't want to play his hand. I guess if we want to use like card analogies, which Trump has like a new obsession with, the card analogies constantly. He doesn't want to show his hand because he partially knows that what he's doing here is wrong, not good. So, you know, crazy. Who would have thought that what Trump is doing is not good?
That happens, they get hit very hard. What are the rules of engagement for federal troops? We'll see what happens. If we think there's a serious insurrection or less than that, we're gonna have law and order. Very important.
Yeah, here's the thing with this as well. The worst part about this is like this is like a standard that can sort of like flip on a dime with Trump depending on how he's feeling. I guess so far he just wants to kind of play it by ear, see what happens, because again, if he, you know, tries to escalate and makes things worse, then whoa, crazy. It's going to make him look really bad politically. Or, like, worse than politically. I mean, this already looks really, really bad for him. Like, no one really likes what he's doing here. Especially in, like, California and stuff. I mean, the only people that are probably going to enjoy this is just, like, the core base and, like, the dumbass, like, fucking lumpen proles that exist within the Republican Party.
How would you define an insurrection? You have to really just have to look at the site. You have to see what's happening. Last night in Los Angeles, we watched it very closely. There was a lot of violence there. There was a lot of violence, and it could have gotten much worse.
Not really. I've seen a bunch of the footage. We've seen the footage. The only people who have been doing violence have just been, well, mostly the cops. Although not really, kind of. They've just been mostly doing crowd control, like just pushing people around. And ICE, when they've just been going around black bagging and detaining people. Again, because of that, a lot of fucking, people have come out of the woodwork to protest and be against that because, again, what Trump is doing with ICE is illegal. It is unlawful. It is unconstitutional. So that's cool. Fantastic. You have a good one, Violet.
You have an incompetent governor. Just take a look at the train stations that he's building.
All right, that's just a repeat of like stuff that we've heard before. Yeah, again, spit. This is
Do you foresee those protests spreading to other cities, Chicago, New York?
Yeah, we've already listened to this bit. Lovely, fantastic. So, Trump probably wanted to stay his hand a little bit because of the fact that, you know, it's gonna make him look really, really fucking bad. So that's cool. I think this is like the first, less than lethal weapons being deployed against protesters. This is like pretty much the first time where people have been getting like pushback in terms of the protests, right?
Well, we're gonna have troops everywhere.
What's the bar for sending in the Marines? The par is what I think it is. No, it's not what you think it is. If you call for the Insurrection Act, then the Secretary of Defense, if he wants to deploy the Marines, he can deploy the Marines. That's the bar. So he would have to call for the Insurrection Act?
Even if you don't plan to invoke the Insurrection Act, you plan to send troops to Los Angeles?
What?
Even if you're not planning to invoke the Insurrection Act, you still plan to send troops?
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
Again, you're the one who's doing the tearing apart of the country right now with all of your stupid, unpopular bullshit that you're doing. Like, you're the one who's prompting all of this. You are the common denominator. You are the fucking problem here. Stupid.
Like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
What's the bar for...
Wait, he's talking about the fucking auto pen? Really? 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 The fucking dumbass pen? This fucking obsession that he has with the fucking auto pen is really fucking strange. Like, yeah, dude, because Joe Biden used a fucking auto pen to sign things, that means it's caused complete chaos and anarchy in the United States of it's really fucking stupid.
Sending Marines to...
The bar is what I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
No, it's not. You, again, decided to ignore the governors when you decided to go ahead with the deployment of the National Guard. You're supposed to talk with the governor and consult with the governor. You didn't do that. And ask, like, can we deploy the National Guard? You didn't do that. You just did that because you want to make it a fucking show, make it a spectacle. That's the point. In order to justify the invocation of the Insurrection Act, in order to be able to further crack down on people's civil liberties. Again, why is Trump doing this? Maintenance of hierarchy and control. He feels like it's probably slipping a little bit, right? So he wants to accelerate because he's running out of time. The more and more fucking stupid, idiotic, unpopular shit that he's doing, the worse and worse it gets.
Sending actors to the way you want is evil, sir. Secretary Hegseth...
We're going to see what we need. We'll send whatever we need to make sure there's law and order.
Even if you don't plan to...
Law and order, folks. We love law and order, don't we?
I don't think there's really much else to go through here. Now, final part of all this. So, I've had this take before, you know. Everyone's, like, running around with, like, different flags. Mostly, for the most part. It's, like, mostly, like, the Mexican flags. The only problem that I really have with people, like, walking around with, like, the foreign flags is the fact that it's going to be like kind of used by conservatives as a cudgel to sort of like justify the fucking foreign invasion. Again, we have Stephen Miller here saying foreign flags flying in American cities to defend the invasion and defy federal law. First off, there is no fucking invasion, right? But of course you're going to use that as like an excuse to make that fucking argument. And no one is defying federal law here. What the fuck are you talking about? You are the ones that are defying federal law constantly here. Again, the Trump administration are the ones, and this, you know, let's be honest here. This motherfucker is the current fucking shadow president. Let's be quite fucking honest here. This dude is the one who's using federal assets to randomly just black bag people so he can deport them all to a prison slave labor camp in El Salvador because of the quid pro quo between the United States and Nayib Bukele that they have there. So, you know, that's cool. But we can fucking talk about these sort of like consequences and issues of like, you know, the idea that this should just be like kind of like an American quote unquote protest. That people should be waving fucking American flags instead of like flags of a bunch of like, I don't know, foreign flags or whatever the fuck, right? Because this is about American laws. This is like a purely like America issue. Again, this is like some highly technical like optics frogging shit basically. Because again, the conservatives are fucking dishonest and they don't give a fuck about any of this. And then we have this fucking troglodyte, Asmongold, having to chime in on this, being very stupid. An easy way to check if a protest is in America is the flags. So, Los Angeles is a city in America? I understand that this is like that you might not be very good at geography, Asmongold, but you live in Texas, which is not, I think he lives in Texas. I have no idea if he lives in Texas. I'm going to assume he lives in Texas. That's not that far away from California, you know? LA is a pretty big city. You can find it pretty easily on a map. What the fuck does he... Just because of, like, what flags are there, that means that this isn't a protest in America? It's just stupid. But then again, I'm looking at the inner machinations of the mind of this Cronenbergian sort of roachman. This amalgamation of, I don't know, chitin and flesh. Are they all of one country? Not America. Are they a bunch of random countries plus pride/identity flags? America. Like, what is he even saying here? Like, this fucking argument is so mind-numbingly stupid that, like, what the fuck else are you supposed to say about this? Hey, Asmongold, you know, there's a lot of Zionist fucking protesters constantly. What do you think of this, Asmongold? Well, what about this? These are a lot of non-America flags. There's a couple of America flags. Sure. Only a couple. Nowhere near as the amount of Israeli flags that are out there. We can go to, like, random different parts of the protest, and there were people waving American flags. Like, does this mean it's not an American-born protest? It happened on on American soil. This is just, like, incredibly fucking stupid. But then again, this is, like, some fucking idiot moron. Like, he's just a very fucking stupid fucking moron. And, yeah, like you're saying, Boy Meets Mini, India Day protests? What about, like, or India Day parades? What about Lunar New Year? How many Chinese flags are waved around in America by Chinese Americans to celebrate the Lunar New Year? Does anyone, broadly speaking, understand the point that's being made here? This is the fucking stupidest fucking point on the fucking planet. But then again, I expect no less from this Cronenbergian fucking roachman. This amalgam of chitin and flesh. This complete, utter fucking moron and troglodyte. But, you know, really, there's only one thing left to listen to. This line just kind of goes hard.
You told me you got caught up in the tear gas as well. Describe what happened to you.
Oh, just tasted a little tear gas. Tasted like fascism.
I don't think there's really much else to say this. How to fucking wrap this up neatly in a nice little bow. All the fucking positions and all the shit that's been going on here, it's just fascism. That is the fucking point. Trump is not doing this because he wants to, like, quell the protests or anything. He doesn't give a fuck about any of that, right? He wants to use this as a way to justify invoking the Insurrection Act and going after, civil liberties. That's the entire point of any of this. Again, maintenance and hierarchy of control. That is the entire point of all this fucking nonsense. But, you know, at this point, like, it's just going to keep going. It's just going to keep going until Trump either folds, okay, couple of outcomes. Trump is going to be forced to fold and just be like, fuck, well, this isn't fucking working, and it's costing me more and more politically. So that is a potential option, which I don't think is going to really work out, to be honest, considering all the sycophants and morons that he's surrounded with. I don't think he really cares about any political consequences. He probably already knows that he's probably fucked during the midterms, so there's that. And the other thing that could happen is he could just invoke the Insurrection Act and the crackdowns become worse, right? If that happens, I only see, like, probably, like, everyone. And I mean, we're going to have, like, a full-blown, like, BLM protest kind of situation where everyone's going to go out and be like, fuck this bullshit, fuck this motherfucker Trump doing all this fucking fascist bullshit, fuck him, we're all going out, and we are all going out to fucking protest. And it's going to be, like, a nationwide fucking movement at this point. The protests are already starting to spread, and everyone fucking hates ICE. Nobody likes those motherfuckers, except for, like, I don't know, whatever dipshit lumpen prole is out there or some shit. Also notice, there haven't been a lot of, not a lot of counter-protesters, right? I don't think it's 40% ICE. I'm curious. I don't think it's that. What's the approval rating of ICE? (42% favorability rating, 54% unfavorability rating. Well, I suppose Boy Meets Mini was correct. Damn! Curses. 70% with Republicans are favoring ICE. I wonder who are the Republicans that don't favor ICE. I wonder who are the Democrats that favor ICE. Crazy. That's my fucking... that's the real question. Dude, the fact that Trump's approval rating on immigration continues to be higher than his marks on the economy and inflation is just so fucking stupid, dude. Just complete utter failure of the fucking Democrats there. Like, just a complete fucking failure there. But, you know, whatever. What can you do? Not really much else, I think, to say here. Besides, there's only one reason why Trump and the Republicans are fucking going ahead with this. It's mostly Trump. Or, honestly, I would even just say it's just Stephen Miller that's doing this. All about maintenance and hierarchy of control. They want people to be fearful, so then, you know, they can push and go forward with all of the just completely, utterly flagrant violations of civil rights and civil liberties that exist in the U.S. That is the point of all of this. The utter chaos, the pathetic excuses to try to invoke the Insurrection Act, that is the entirety and purpose of all of this. It's another attempt, again, to consolidate more and more power. That is the point of it, and I don't think the people are having any of that bullshit. Which, you know, I suppose is the positive that comes out of this. People know what the fuck is up. Just like this guy who said, tasted a little tear gas. Tasted like fascism.